And it's a week also. Forget about now. I want us to talk about something that happened during this international break, whereby some notable players did not go to their international games because maybe there were injuries. Maybe some just didn't get to know. What do you think about this when you see some players withdrawing from the national team, and some even not because of injuries? I presume. What do you think? What message is being passed here? What is wrong here? Are they scared of the injuries that might come due to the international break, or what do you think about it?
There is a bit of fear in terms of injuries. If you remember Rodri, before he got injured, he kind of tried to raise that issue that there's too much congestion of these fixtures. They're happening. There's too many games happening in a short period of time, and unfortunately, it wasn't addressed. So I feel like players are now feeling like they should try and protect themselves. And for some have genuine injuries, but for some it could be that kind of fear. My team needs me more than my national league, because if you look at even the fixtures, they aren't even that big. They aren't against the big teams. I remember seeing a story. Okay, I don't know if it's true, but I think it is. Mbappe, who said that he should only be called up to the national team against the big fixture, not the small teams. Only when the team actually needs him is when he should be called up for the team. So
and I feel like this one is a retaliation from the players, because for the longest time they've been crying that there's a lot of congestion for games. There are so many games to be played in a season, and they are the ones who are being affected. So they've been crying for the longest time since last season, and maybe the federations have not been hearing them and maybe acting upon their cries and their pleas. Now I think the players are retaliating on that because they feel like we are here, we are on ourselves. So we have to do what is right for ourselves and by ourselves here, because nobody's coming to rescue us from this. So I feel like these withdrawals from the national team are due to this congestion of games, and they feel like they should protect themselves so that they can be on top form when it comes to the leagues. So I might be wrong on this, but that's just my 2 cents on that particular issue, whereby I feel like so many players are withdrawing from their national teams in a way that is very shocking. And something should be looked. It is high time that these federations, that FIFA looked into these matters here, because at the end of the day, as much as we want to see to be entertained, but we should remember also that these people are not robots. These are human beings. They are prone to injuries. They are prone to fatigue. And because they're the players. They are the ones who understand their bodies. They're the ones who know what happens on that pitch. They know how fit the shoe is. So I think like they should be heard more. They should be heard more, and we should make sure that the game is played in conditions that are favorable for both sides. Let us not put money and entertainment ahead of the welfare of our players. Because if they don't play so well, there will be a problem on our side, because we want to be entertained. So I feel like FIFA should look into this matter keenly and make sure that it comes out to the decision that is it is fair for either side, to make sure that the games are played at a very conducive conditions.
Because even if you look at it, let's say logically, the league just started, I think, is it a month or 2 months ago? They've already gone for 2 international breaks. In between, they've played Champions League, they've played the Europa League, they've played the Carabao
for the English,
they've played the FA Cup. So what time do they have to at least maybe rest or have some time to at least recover and get back to match fitness? So it's a genuine concern for them, and even if they are doing it intentionally, dropping out of their teams, it's understandable, because at the end of the day, when you come back to the league, you're, let's say, the regular starter. You have to play for your team, so you need that time to kind of rest and recover and build up on your fitness.
Yes, that is truly telling us everything about that topic. And what are your contributions on that topic? Because I feel like these are conversations that we should have as people who love football, people who support football. These are conversations that should be out there. We should people should talk about this so that maybe FIFA can hear from the fan side and also the player side and know that it's a serious issue, because I feel like the current football is more money oriented. You know?
Definitely.
It's not centered on the player first, you know?
Yeah.
Because if there's no player, there is no football. So we should maybe check on the welfare of our players, and then money will definitely come in, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it also brings pressure to the teams to invest more on the squad, because they'll have to bring more players to be able to exhaust the games when in a very good place. So I think it's financially it's a problem to the teams also. I feel like
definitely,
if you look at a team like Chelsea that had to invest a lot when it comes to players, I think maybe they anticipated for such things to happen. So I hope the FIFA will hear the cries of players and maybe act upon it in the best way for either parties. And I insist on that. I insist on that. Now, I want us now to go and I want us now to go to the English Premier League for the weekend, and maybe on the league. Let us now go to the leagues now, the weekend fixtures that we are having here. Which ones do you have, Rodney? Read for us.
On Saturday, our early kickoff will be against Tottenham, Tottenham against West Ham. And then after that, we'll have Fulham against Aston Villa, Ipswich against Everton, Man United against Brentford, Newcastle against Brighton, Southampton against Leicester, and the last fixture of the day will be Bournemouth against Arsenal. On Sunday, we'll have Wolves against Man City and Liverpool against Chelsea. Yes.
So those are the weekend fixtures when it comes to the English Premier League, whereby we know that it is the most loved and the biggest league in the world at the moment. So that's why we are putting a focus on that. Now, I want us to touch on particular games here. If time allows us, I want us to start from Spurs versus West Ham, which is the first game of the weekend. Spurs against West Ham, which is a very big game in its own weight. And I feel like Spurs coming out from a disappointment in the previous game, and West Ham coming from a win. What do you think about this game? How do you think of this game will be played, and what will be the outcome?
I feel like this is, again, going to be a very open game. Spurs have been a bit shaky in their performances, and West Ham also haven't had a very good start to the season. So I feel like whoever is going to come to that game and turn up and try their very best to get a win is going to win the game. But I feel like Spurs are most likely, let me say, the favorites to win that match.
My worry is, Spurs being Spurs, because we know the trend that Spurs has when it comes to this league, whereby it starts so well, then it starts deteriorating. The performance starts deteriorating. And now West Ham, we have seen now, this is a West Ham that has started rising. I think after that win in the last game, I think it was the first win. The first or second league win. I think so. I think it was the first win.
Let me check. Oh yeah, they won against Ipswich. Before that, they had 2 draws and 2 losses. So it was the first win of the season, and I believe that this was enough now to give them that belief that they're capable of upsetting their opponents. We can say that it was Ipswich, but still a win is a win, and it gives you that morale to go to the next game. And now Spurs coming from a setback, I feel like this is going to be a very tough game that Spurs would want to rejuvenate itself, and West Ham would want to continue now winning because it has not been performing well. So I think this is going to be a tough game and a good game to watch. Where do you think? Who do you think you have to say, like, you feel like Spurs is going to win this game? I think I'm going on the West Ham way. I feel like West Ham is going to upset Spurs. I believe in West Ham. I have a soft spot for West Ham also. Another big game that's going to be played here is Fulham against Aston Villa. Very tough match. Very tough.
Especially this season, whereby Fulham has come out to be one of the teams that upsets these so-called or perceived big teams, And I feel like Fulham is very strong right now, with notable names, good game of football, and the ambition to win. I think this is one of the seasons that Spurs has come out to want to win. They want to show what they're made of, and they would not want to go back to the to the second division there. So I think, and Aston Villa now being Aston Villa, because for the last 2 seasons you have seen Aston Villa grow from strides to strides there. The coach is doing an amazing work. They have an amazing squad. They've been performing very, very well. And I feel like this is going to be a very tough game, and they are at home to Fulham. Another stumbling block for Aston Villa. And I hope to see a very good, I'm looking forward to a very good game of football here.
It's a game of two contrasts. One team that is very good at a very good on the attack and a team that is very good defensively Fulham, and attacking Aston Villa. So it's definitely going to be a very entertaining match and not an easy one, especially considering that they weren't able to win Aston Villa, that is, they weren't able to win against Man United. Fulham also lost against Man City, though they played very well. So it's going to be a very good game, a very entertaining game. So I'm looking forward to that match.
And it's important to note that Fulham lost narrowly to Man City.
Yeah,
it was
very
3-2.
narrowly. 3-2.
3-2, but by a whisker, you know.
Yeah.
And I think this shows that they are a very good side and they are capable to upset any team in this league. If they can go out and upset Man City, that was an upset for Man City.
Yeah.
It was a downgrade for them, as much as it was a win, but I think it was a fumble for them, you know.
Yeah.
It was not convincing. So I think they showed that they are up to the task and they can go head-to-head, hand-to-hand with any other team in this particular league. And if they can disturb and they can upset the reigning champions, then they are up to the task. So Aston Villa have a point to prove and a very uphill task to complete in this particular game. So another game that I feel like we should talk about is the Ipswich game against Everton. Literally, I'm going to talk about every game because I think it follows every the games here, all of them. So Ipswich against Aston Villa, two teams that have not been performing so well.
Yeah.
Ipswich coming into the league and the upset of being new to the league, and we have an Everton team that has not been performing so well in the last two seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, last season and starting off this season. What do you think about this particular game?
This is one of those games where you're not really sure what's going to happen because statistically, you look at Everton, they've only won one game, they've drawn 2 and lost 4. Ipswich have not won a single game, they've drawn 4 and lost 3. So if you look at it on paper, there's no specific team that's better than the other. They're both on the lower side in the Premier League. So it's going to be a tough fixture. Everton are very good defensively. Ipswich okay, the tactics haven't been working as well, but I feel like they're mostly struggling considering that they're moving up. They've moved up into the Premier League. They were in the Championship last season, so now that they're in the Premier League, they're kind of having a hard time to integrate into the league, and we've seen that over the years, even last season with the teams like I've forgotten the name, but teams that got relegated, they got promoted and then relegated at the end of the season, and it feels a lot like this is the same thing that's going to happen this season with the likes of Ipswich. So going into this game, I feel like it's very open. Whoever is going to turn up to the game could win it, but I feel like Everton are the favourites to win the game.
And the previous game you didn't tell us, between Fulham and Aston Villa, which one do you think is favourites to win that particular game?
Maybe a draw. A draw or Aston Villa. Yeah.
I think Fulham is going to upset Aston Villa, having the home advantage first of all, and how strong they've been in their previous matches. I think Fulham are up to the task and might upset Aston Villa, which will be an advantage to me with the team I support. I'm not going to mention. Now, in this particular game, Ipswich against Everton, I feel like this is a game that each team here, these two teams, either teams want to show that they want to rejuvenate themselves. Yeah. They are looking forward to a very positive result, either of them, so it's going to be a very tough match. And the match of the underdogs now, I feel like in this particular game, I think Everton are going to come up on top because at least we're familiar with the game. Yeah. For Ipswich, I think they're still trying to find their foot. Like you've said, if they don't take care, they might go back to the championship. So I feel like Everton is going to try to come strong here and maybe come out with 3 points here. If bad come to us, I think it would be a draw for me. Let's talk about another team here that at least no one wants to talk about as a fan, but rivals would love to talk about it. Manchester United versus is going to play against Brentford. Super tough game when we consider that this Brentford is one of the teams that really very much like in any day they would upset Manchester United. Yeah. Like it has been a norm for them. I know there's so much into Man City, but I think Brentford comes out strong against Manchester United. So what do you think about this game? Especially that it's your team.
A very proud Manchester United fan. I feel like this is a game, it would have been a bit easier to predict if we had a new manager, according to whatever was happening during the international break. If we had a new manager, this would have been a bit easier to predict or maybe guess. But now with Ten Hag still there, it's just there. You're not really sure whatever you're going to get. You're not really sure which Manchester United team is going to turn up on that day. If they're actually going to turn up and play the game, or they're just going to sit back and say, okay, whatever happens, happens. You know, as long as we get a result, whether a draw or we lose, whatever happens, happens. So I'm not really sure. Brentford are a good team. They've had some very good performances this season, and they're very notorious for scoring early goals. So if we're not careful, we could very easily concede a goal in the very first few minutes. And if that happens, then end game. I think if we concede within the first 10 minutes, I'll lose all hope for that match. And, but anyway, he's our manager. Ten Hag is still our manager, so we trust the process, as he keeps saying. We trust the process. Hopefully he has something in store for us, and he can pick, let's say, the best team to at least give him a fighting chance and get him a result.
We're not talking about the best team that Ten Hag should pick. Who do you think? What changes do you think Ten Hag should make to going to this game that he did as opposed to the previous game? What changes do you think he should make?
He actually has a very hard job ahead of him in this fixture, considering that apparently Mazraoui is going to be out for 3 weeks. You have Maguire, who's also injured. You have Garnacho, who didn't travel to Argentina, to the Argentina squad. Ahmad had to also withdraw from the Ivory Coast squad. So we're yet to receive any information in terms of the injuries. So we're also not sure who's fit for the game and who isn't, but it's tough. You look at the defense, most likely it's going to be De Ligt and Martinez, or maybe Johnny Evans. We might have to play Lindelof on fullback, whether it's left back or right back. That's up to the manager. In midfield, again, we're not sure since Mainu is out. So we might see either Casemiro and Ugarte, or Ugarte, Eriksen again. That's down to him. It depends on whatever tactics he's going to decide for the match. On the attacking line, apparently Højlund didn't train with Denmark yesterday. So again, we're not really sure what's happening in terms of injuries, but most likely if he is actually out, then we might see Rashford, Zaxi, and maybe Garnacho and Ahmad are both out, but hopefully one of them is actually match fit to start the game, or else we might have to see maybe Bruno on the right wing or something.
Yes, that's all about Manchester United versus Brentford there, whereby I feel like in this particular game, I feel like this is a game where Manchester is going to try to prove themselves and put themselves in a good position, because the coach now, with everything going around the club, I'm not going to we'll talk about them later. I feel in this particular day, but I feel like with everything going around the club and this, I think this is a game that he needs to prove himself. And maybe to secure his spot still as the manager of that team. So I think Manchester is going to play for the coach here. I hope so.
Hopefully.
Now, and I think it's bad and that would be very bad news for the Manchester United fan, because for those who think that Ten Hag should go, if at all this game ends well, I think it will be a problem. It won't be a good thing for the fans of Manchester United who are pro Ten Hag should go.
I think so, but ideally, I think for even the fans who are saying maybe Ten Hag out, ideally what they want is the performance. That's what they want. They at least want to see a team that's going to go on the pitch and put up a fight. Even if you lose, then at least show us something. You put in the effort. You bled for the badge, as you might say. You know, you put in a fight, and even though you didn't get the result, on to the next one, and you fight, and at least try to go back to the glory days. I'm not sure if we might see that anytime soon, us maybe competing for the top spots, whether it's winning the Premier League or something, but at least go out there and show that you're playing for the badge, you're trying to prove a point, you're trying to win or something. So should Ten Hag stay? I don't mind. I mean, I was a huge fan of him under Ajax, but at least show us that you're trying to do something, whether it's in your tactics or whichever, managerial thing you're doing over there. Show us on the pitch so that we can actually see that there's a vision, there's actual improvement, and we're not just regressing and going back. Yeah.
Another blockbuster game that I feel like we should talk about here is the game pitting Newcastle against Brighton. Another big game that I feel like it's going to be very tough. Literally every game in this weekend is going to be very tough if I look by the look of things here. And Newcastle is in the process of rejuvenating itself and their performances, and because there was a certain upset in this season, and I think they won last game, yeah?
Yeah, they won against Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. So and you have a Brighton who, of course, it's normal. Brighton performed so well, and they
drew actually. Newcastle drew against Everton. It was Brighton that won against Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. I was coming there. Yeah, true. Exactly. I remember. Yeah. So this is a Brighton that won against Tottenham, a very big team, and you're coming to a Newcastle that is trying to perform well throughout this. And what do you think about this game?
Again, as I've said, another tough fixture. Statistically, Newcastle have won 3 matches, drawn 3, lost 1. And Brighton as well, won 3, drawn 3, lost 1. So you can see these two teams are very even, neck and neck. So tough fixture. I feel like Brighton could win, because they have a very good attack. Newcastle have been struggling with a few injury issues, so I feel like Brighton have a better chance to win this match.
Yeah, Brighton has a better chance to win this match. I'm not going to put my 2 cents on that, because I feel like this is a very tough match to predict. And let's go with Newcastle as you said, Brighton. Let's go with Brighton. Let's see what will happen. We'll be trying to review all these coming when it comes to next week here on Monday. Now, another game here that I think we'll talk about is Southampton versus Leicester. I feel like Southampton is quite underperforming. Yeah. Quite underperforming, Southampton, and we have a Leicester who try so much. I think they're doing fairly good. Fairly, I'm saying fairly because they're not doing good. They're not doing that bad. So, what do you make of this game?
This is like the one fixture I feel like I can maybe predict. It's side of leaning to one side, which is Leicester, because Southampton literally have not won a game this season. Literally 0 points. Not 0 points. Zero matches won. They've drawn 1 and lost all 6. Leicester have won 1, drawn 3, and lost 3. If you look at Leicester's performance, for example, against Arsenal, they put up a pretty good fight. Even though they lost the game, they had a very good game. So if you are to take that kind of performance and you bring it against Southampton, then it's a definite win for them. So I feel like Leicester have a good chance to win.
Let us go to a game again. Arsenal against Bournemouth. Arsenal against Bournemouth. To a normal eye, this one looks like a decided game already, because everything would lean to Arsenal. But I feel like Bournemouth also have the ability to upset any team when they wake up on the right foot. And we saw the Arsenal performance last week, and it wasn't convincing.
It wasn't.
It wasn't convincing in the last game. Now we are putting the fact that most of their key players are like. Rumor has it that they are injured. If you talk about Saka, so probably he would miss this match. And now you are telling me about Martinelli, who might be.
Yeah, there was a rumor kind of going around that he left with a bit of discomfort on his right leg. So he was being taken in for a few tests to see maybe if it's a serious injury or if it's just something that they should just be precautionary. They should take precaution about. So we'll see come Saturday. Even Saka, apparently, they're saying he could be fit for the game. Odegaard, he's still not yet training, but he could be back soon. So we don't know if these injuries could have any significant issue or affects the team overall. Yeah.
I feel like these injuries are going to be a very major undoing to this Arsenal team, because there is there's a way that Arsenal, those players have gel together in a way that even if you look at the players, it's not an individual team.
Yeah,
it's a collective effort and that's how they are winning games. So when you break a part of that puzzle, break a part of that team, I think a problem will be felt. As much as we're talking about Sterling being part of the team, at least will step into maybe a player like Saka. I feel like there's something that Saka offers that no other player can offer in that particular team, and that one, and because Saka is one of the top contributors to Arsenal, if not the top, if not to the top. So I feel like maybe there'll be limited contributions, Saka's contribution in that particular team, and the flow of the game, I think, will be affected because right now, as much I feel like Sterling does not have the whole picture of everything Arsenal. He's still adjusting and adapting to it and learning from everything, from the movements and everything. I know people can say, "Oh, Arsenal play the same style as Man City," but I feel like still this is Arsenal. As much as they might be playing the same type of game, almost the same type of game, but there are some aspects of Arsenal maybe that Sterling has to learn and adjust to be able to be that fluidity when it comes to the players. So I feel like there's going to be an issue, and maybe not so big, but at least something will be felt when you have a player like Saka and Odegaard missing because they're the top contributors. I don't have a problem with the left side when Nani's not there. Martinelli is not there because Trossard is well. Trossard will step in because he has been there for some time and he has been giving out numbers, producing so good games. So I feel like on the left side they've got no problem, but on the right side I feel there's going to be a slight problem. They might not there, but I think a slight problem will work. And also one thing to note is that people like this England player who scored, Rice. I think he's doing well for himself, and scoring at the international level will give him that morale that he needs to bring back to the club level. And I think that's why I've said there won't be a very big issue, but of course it will be felt on that when it comes to goal contributions, because I feel like Saka is more a team player as compared to Sterling. If you ask me that, that's why.
Definitely. There's a bit of a combination that they have with Ben White especially, which is very good on the right side. So right now we're not sure if Saka won't play, but if he doesn't play, then they could have a bit of an issue on their right side. And even considering that Saka is the set piece player, the set piece taker, we don't know who's going. I think Rice is the kind of the substitute for set pieces, so we're not sure if that could take effect as well.
And I'm leaning towards believing that these many injuries are brought about by this number of games, like we've talked earlier. And I think if I should be watching this, and I think teams should start complaining about this, because this is not normal, and because this is one of the international games I've seen that a lot of players have withdrawn from the national teams, especially in England. So I feel like this is something that should be addressed. And I'm not going to go into it because we've talked about it earlier. Now, another game that I feel we should talk about is Wolves against Man City. Man City, that we've seen that there's a slight drop in their form in recent times, especially when it comes to the injuries. Especially started off with Rodri. It brought a very big gap on that because I feel like Gundogan is not feeling that place well. Kovacic tried to revive that in the previous game, where he scored at least a brace on that in that game against Fulham. So I feel like still, but I think what the contribution that Rodri had in this team, Kovacic is not at that level. As much as he can contribute to goals, but what about the cohesion of the team? The supply, being the middle ground being the connection between the defense and the attack. I don't think he's very much. He can do a Rodri, but I think we should give him his flowers in his own capacity, because at least contribution is enough. You don't have to be Rodri. You are Kovacic, so do your thing and make sure you contribute the way he did in the last game. And what do you think about Man City against Wolves?
Man City Wolves, I feel like, again, I'm going to lean on one side, which is Man City. If you look at Wolves' performances, they start their games well, but as the game progresses, they kind of diminish. So, and even statistically, they've lost, I think, 4 games in a row now, which is against Brentford, Liverpool, Aston Villa, and Newcastle, who are, let's say, the top 6, among the top 6. So, coming now to Man City aren't a team that are easy to break down. So they're definitely going to bring the game to them, and Man City are also trying to kind of prove a point, considering that they drew against Arsenal and Newcastle back-to-back. So they want to retain their top position, considering that now Liverpool are now in first place. So City are definitely going to turn up to that game. About Wolves, I'm not sure whichever side we're going to get, but hopefully they can also turn up as well, so that we can at least have a bit of competition up there.
I want us to take a moment to talk about Nottingham Forest against Crystal Palace, because I've jumped a particular game because I feel it is very much important to very much build on that, because it's a very big game. But let us first go on. Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace. You know, Nottingham Forest has come out as a very tough team. I saw their last game against Arsenal. Probably they was reduced to 10 men in the early times of the games, and they managed to come out with a draw against Arsenal, which is something that it's not something you can, any other team can just do that, you know. And so Nottingham Forest is coming out as a very strong team to opponents. Especially in this season. They did that against Manchester City, where they beat Manchester City a goal to nil. We saw them doing it against Arsenal, and now they have a Crystal Palace that is not that we cannot say it's fairly good, fairly good Crystal Palace. And what do you think about this particular game?
This fixture, it's actually a fixture that is very notorious for draws. If you look at the stats, they've drawn, I think, 3 games in a row now. Newcastle 1-1 the previous fixture, 0-0 before that, and 1-1 before that. So again, I feel like it's going to follow the same trend. These are 2 teams that are very open defensively, but also very good defensively. I know that it sounds a bit confusing, but if you take your chances, then you can beat them. But they're also very good at defending, or as we say, parking the bus, you can say that, and playing on the counter. So these are 2 teams that are, it feels like they're on the same level, neck and neck. So whichever team is going to turn up on that day could get the result, or we'll just end up with a nil-nil, not a nil-nil, or a draw as well.
A draw probably, because it's a very tough game by all means. These 2 teams here, and let us not go to the game of the weekend, the game that everybody wants to look at it and just see what will happen, because that is Liverpool versus Chelsea. You have seen Chelsea grow from in strides in this particular season, and having just lost one game. Only lost 1 game and drew, I think, 1 or 2.
No, they haven't.
They haven't drawn.
Yeah, they've won 6.
They've gone 6 and drawn 1
and lost 1.
Sorry, and lost 1. Sorry.
6.
Lost 1. Now, this particular game is a very. Also talking about Liverpool, which is a very good form this season. Ancelotti has done marvelous work. He has done something that maybe.
I was reading the Liverpool stats. Liverpool are the one who have won 6 and lost 1. Chelsea have won 4 and drawn 2, lost 1.
Lost 1, sorry, Thank you for clarification on that. I was I need hydration. Now, Liverpool has come out very strong this season. Even if you look at the table, they're the ones who are leading the table right now. And Chelsea, we have seen the form that they are in right now. After the loss against Man City and the number of draws they've had, we've seen them come out strong now, growing in strides as games go by. What do you make of this game? Because I believe this is the toughest game. This is the toughest competition Liverpool is going to have. Chelsea have had one in Man City, but now I think this is the toughest for Liverpool. What do you think about this particular game?
This is a tough fixture, as you've said, and I remember not too long ago Chelsea fans saying that Maresca is better than Slot. So finally, we now have a chance to see.
This is where we get to see now.
We get to see now in full, not even full HD, in 4K. Who's a better manager? So this is a tough fixture, as you've said, and Liverpool have been having very good performances over this season, and they're currently leading. So I'm leaning over to their side. I feel like Liverpool are going to win this game. You feel like Liverpool is going to win this league? Yeah. You know, you're talking against Ojambo Franklin and Teddy Samis. Teddy Samis and Franklin. Somebody here says that your team is going to lose against Liverpool. What is your take on this? Because I believe Chelsea right now is in the form that they are in right now. They are capable of upsetting any team in this league. Definitely, but if you look at the stats, they've only played, the only big team that you can say they've played against is Man City. It's Man City, yeah. And they lost. And they lost to Man City. So this is, again, a challenge for them, and we are going to see who is up to the task, who is going to be, let's say, a challenger for the league this season. I think Chelsea are 4th right now, but they keep saying they're title contenders this season. But I feel like Sunday is going to be a test for them, and it's going to show us if they actually stand a chance against the top teams, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. So I still think Liverpool will win, but Chelsea have a good chance to win that match. Even though Man United lost to Liverpool, I still think we played quite well against them. It's just that we weren't able to capitalize on our chances. So if Chelsea do turn up to that game, then they have a chance to win.
If Chelsea do turn up to that game, then they have a chance to win. Those are sentiments from Rodney here on the scoreboard, whereby we are giving everything sports here. And I think we're out of time because I think we're looking up to, we literally have like at most 3 minutes. And I feel, so what, unless you have anything to add upon any game that you feel like we should be tackling, what are your last sentiments on this particular show?
Just to say thank you to everyone who has joined us. Thank you for keeping it the scoreboard, and as we go to the Premier League weekend this week, there's a lot of sporting action that's going to happen even as the week goes on. We have the Under-17 Women's World Cup, and I think the FKF is going to return this week as well. So we'll have a lot of sporting action to analyze come next week on Monday, and this is just a side note, even though it's not sports. Huge thank you. Today is KDF Day, so thank you to our soldiers, whether retired or currently serving. So huge shout out to them, and keep it the scoreboard. See you next week, same time, same place. God bless you.
Man, just to say thank you to everyone who has kept tabs on us, who has been watching this show, those who have contributed to it, Wakina Teddy, Wakina Frank, thank you so much. And also just to big up my show who is watching. I big up also my brother Deno, Jack, Humphrey. Thanks so much for watching. Kingori and the mom, thank you so much because I know you're watching. And also for the first time, I want to big up the team that has made this possible. Saimo on the cameras and sound. We have Alice on the control room there, the producer. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for us, and may God bless you and give you more knowledge and wisdom to do the right things as we go on. So from me, thank you so much and have a beautiful week. Have an amazing week. God bless you. And we pray so much that the Harambee Starlets will give the world a show of what Kenyan football is made of. So see you next time, next Monday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Adios.